Maybe Ty can answer this question. Moose and I are talking about the coaching and the matchup. Shanahan versus Andy Reid. Who do you trust more in a big spot, Ty?
That's a tough one. That's a tough one. I think I'm going to have to go with the 49ers on this one.
Yeah, you're with Maggie and I, Ty. We're both on Shanahan's bandwagon. You got it.
What's your reasoning, though?
I honestly can't tell you. It's just a certain vibe I get and just a certain, I don't know, like the 49ers team itself, they just seem pretty solid all around, compared to the Chiefs. They're a really, really good football team, and they're really fast. They just seem a little bit more splashy as opposed to the 49ers are just all the way consistent for all 4 quarters through the whole season in all phases.
Ty, when and obviously we'll get back to the big game here and talk and get your thoughts, continued thoughts on Super Bowl 54. But, how would you encapsulate your first year with the Jets?
I can't come up with a descriptive word, but I can honestly tell you that I loved it. I love the Jets organization. I love the Jets fans. I love being in New York, living in Jersey, the city of New York. I love the whole experience. So I hope to be around next year.
Ty Montgomery is our guest. Okay, now that we can look back on the season with a little hindsight, a little clarity, what was the reaction when you guys found out that Darnold had mono?
Oh, man. I don't even know if I can say that on radio.
You can't say it on radio?
Oh, that's tremendous.
Did you think the season was over?
No.
Okay.
I didn't think the season was over, but I was just like, really? Mono? Like, really?
Now, Ty, was that something you guys got on him throughout the entire year with it or no?
For sure. That's all I'll say.
Okay. But it derails things, right? Like you probably, you thought you were joining a team that was going to have like second-year quarterback. They, Le'Veon Bell comes aboard. They're throwing all this money at C.J. Mosley. And like, you probably thought you were joining a different type of team than what it ended up becoming, no?
Honestly, no. Like, I didn't have those kinds of expectations. Obviously, I expected us for our record to be better than it was, but there's certain factors you can look at and say, you know what, I expected this to look better than it did. Mm-hmm. But then, in hindsight, you look back, you can also say, yeah, second-year quarterback, but it's also a second-year quarterback with a second head coach and a second offense and also a new GM and new players around him. And you say the same thing, with Le'Veon having taken the year off, Le'Veon being a part of a new offense, a new coach, a new offensive line. Everything was new for everyone. Mm-hmm. So I think, this first year we just really needed to try to build some synergy and, hopefully come back next year and be better than we were this year and just keep building.
Ty, Maggie and I talked to Frank Gore earlier on in the show about his time with Adam Gase down in Miami. He said he appreciated his honesty. He had no issues with him. He'll tell you what's up. He'll tell you how he's going to use you. What was your case? With your year under head coach Adam Gase, what was your take on what you heard, or did you like playing for Gase?
Yeah, everything that Frank said is right. He's an honest guy. He's going to tell you the truth. And, if he says he's going to do something and he doesn't do it, he's going to be the first to apologize to you. Whether you have to approach him, he can have that hard conversation, or he'll come to you and, he'll apologize for any mistakes he made or not doing some things that he said he was going to do.
Interesting. Did you have one of those moments with him this season? Would you care to share it with us or no?
No, I mean, it's nothing I want to share, but, Adam and I we've had our conversations, and I have the utmost respect for Adam. I respect him as a man, as a person, and as a coach, so.
Go ahead, Miss. Go ahead.
No, the Jet fan that's critical here of Gase, Ty, you think it's unfair?
Say that again?
The Jet fan that is critical of the job that Gase has done here, you think that's unfair?
I think it would be unfair to just blame it all on Adam, but I don't think it's unfair for a Jet fan to be critical given the history and everything that Jets fans have had to go through over the years. I can totally understand being critical and being frustrated and being upset. But at the same time, it's Adam's first year with his team. He ended up with a new GM, right before the season, after the previous GM had drafted his draft class, which was, sort of weird to a lot of people in its own right, and then, new players and everything. So there was a lot on his plate, to be honest. And then I'm sure there's a lot of pressure coming in as the new Jets head coach under new management and finding some big names. And I'm sure that comes with a lot of pressure.
Yeah, and we're talking about Ty Montgomery, and one of those big names was Le'Veon, and sometimes it felt like the game plan, and honestly, Ty, with you sometimes in the game plan, it felt like it was just a little bit uneven. Do you think that if you come back next year and if Le'Veon's back next year, that we're going to see a different type of commitment to the run?
I'm not sure, to be honest. I'm not sure. I don't make those decisions, but I think I think next year if I come back, which I would love to come back, I hope I do. I want to. I think we're gonna be willing to do whatever it takes to win.
Ty, have you or your agents had conversations with Joe Douglas?
I'm not aware of too many conversations from my understanding, but I believe some conversations have happened.
Okay, we're talking with Ty Montgomery. Le'Veon seemed like outwardly he was, company man. Didn't get nearly the amount of touches that he was used to in Pittsburgh. Was there ever, I'm not trying to ask you to spill the tea, but was there ever any private frustrations there?
Nothing that I saw that seemed, too selfish. I mean, as football players, we're all selfish because at the end of the day, we all want to win. So
Sure.
If we're not winning, then, we all feel like, well, what could we have done better? And why didn't we do this or why didn't we do that? I think at the end of the day, we all just wanted to win. And Le'Veon, myself, BP, Sam, anyone on that roster, we all just wanted to win.
Ty, you were up in Green Bay with Aaron, and you had a year
Which
here
one?
with Rodgers. Yeah, with
And
Rodgers.
Jones.
Yeah, and Jones, right. But you were up there. You were up there with Rodgers at quarterback, and you spent a year here with Sam Darnold, even with the mono and all. Are there any similarities between the two in terms of what they bring to the football field?
Yeah, I think there's a little bit of similarities in Sam's arm strength and his ability to change his arm angles and just throw the ball from really sometimes it seems like any angle, and he's got this real tight flick that I think I've only seen Aaron do, honestly, and I think Sam's going to be really good, but he's going to be really good in his own right, in his own lane. I think it's tough to try to compare Aaron Rodgers to anyone because he's such a special quarterback, player, athlete, person in his own right. So, I don't really want to compare the two too much.
But
Yeah.
you knew, I'm sorry, Maggie, but you knew, when you look at Darnold here, going into year 3, you think you're expecting special things from Darnold?
Always, yeah. He's a special player, and I would expect him to expect that from himself. So, yeah, I'm expecting him to get better every year, just like, I'm expecting myself to get better every year.
We're talking with Ty Montgomery, your former coach, now the head coach of the Dallas Cowboys, Mike McCarthy. He took some criticism at the end of his time in Green Bay that maybe the offense, got a little stale or, that he wasn't quick to make adjustments. Then he takes this year off, Ty, and he's like this totally new, rejuvenated person. Do you feel like it's going to be a completely new guy in Dallas? Like, how much of that break were you kind of buying from Mike McCarthy?
I haven't spoken with him, so I'm not sure. But one thing I know about Coach McCarthy is he's a heck of a football coach. He's old school, blue collar, hard nosed, run the football first, set up the pass. So I think Dallas is a great fit for him. Having a running back like Ezekiel Elliott and then a quarterback like Dak Prescott, who's really good off the play action and off the run. And so I'm excited for him, and it's really good for him to be where he is in Dallas. I think that's a great spot for him.
Yeah, and Ty kind of, it didn't end well for him in Green Bay, right? And, and you were a very good Packer. It didn't end well for you up there in Green Bay either. It seems like Coach McCarthy is really motivated to kind of change the discourse or the narrative around him as a head coach down there in Dallas.
I'm sorry, can you repeat that?
I was saying basically, long question. Here you go. I was saying for McCarthy, it didn't end well for him in Green Bay. It seems like he wants to change that narrative down in Dallas with the Cowboys.
Maybe. I mean, I think anyone that gets involved in this game, the legacy is important to them. And I think with Coach McCarthy, I think he established himself as a great head coach, during his time with the Packers. And I think he wants to continue that. And, I wouldn't, if I were him or just, speaking for the love that I have for him, the respect that I have for him, I wouldn't want how things ended in Green Bay to define him. And I wouldn't want how things ended in Green Bay to get in his mind and him start to define himself based off of what happened and how things ended. I think he's a great coach, and I think he's going to be good for Dallas.
Yeah, did you feel a little that way about yourself too, Ty, with how things ended in Green Bay?
Yeah, I went through that. I went through that. I went through a little bit of depression, and I wasn't too pleased with how things ended in Green Bay at all.
And Ty, you're a case study finding your way. I mean, you were a kind of guy that did everything at Stanford, right? And then you come into the National Football League, finding your way as kind of a guy that could do everything for the Green Bay Packers as well. Talk a little bit about that journey in terms of, for guys that are looking to get into the NFL and really the sacrifices you need to make individually coming out of what were you, and you were a star at Stanford collegially.
Honestly, when it comes down to being in the league, I actually learned this from Coach McCarthy. Availability is the best ability. So if you can make yourself available at any position, then you're going to be made valuable to a team. And if you have any worries or doubts about if you can make a team, then, find a way to make a team in any way possible. Don't pigeonhole yourself, and don't think you're going to be a guy who's, I play receiver and that's it. I don't do special teams. No, special teams is how you play a long time in this league for most of us. That's just the fact of the matter.
Mm-hmm. Did you ever feel like, was there any repairing that had to go on between your relationship with Aaron Rodgers, or are you guys okay?
No, I think we're fine. It's like, we were never best friends or anything like that, but I don't think we were ever really enemies either, so.
Gotcha.
Ty, final one. Who's going to win this game on Sunday? You going Niners or Chiefs?
I'm going with the Niners.
Why?
That's two
Bay
for
Area.
two. Gore like the Niners. Now we got another running back in that likes the Niners. Why do you like San Francisco?
I think I alluded to it earlier when I think just over the season, kind of watching both teams from afar, I think the Chiefs are a little bit more of a splash team, and I think they're a consistent football team for sure, but I think the Niners have shown a little bit more consistency in all three phases. A game that I think about with the Chiefs is that, when they got down real fast, real early, I think it was against the Titans, and they had to fight their way back. I don't see the Niners really over the course of the season. I could be wrong, but I see them playing solid football all four quarters, all three phases, and that's just what I'm going with. I think the 49ers are a little bit more consistent.
Yeah, it makes sense. Final one for me. You played college football with Andrew Luck. He steps away. Do you think he's ever going to come back and play? I mean, knowing him, do you feel like this was really that was it for his NFL career?
Honestly, it could be. If he came back, that would be his prerogative. But, Andrew's a really smart guy. I know there's a lot of things besides football that are very important to him. He loves football. Football is very important to him. I think you could tell, when he was giving the speech, how emotional he got. But I think he's having a family. I know he's married. Very smart guy. I think he was architectural design major or something like that. I remember riding in his car and seeing some project he was working on. And, I just think with Andrew, there's so much more to life. It doesn't diminish the importance of football, but I think he appreciates so much more about life, and I think he just wants to do what's best for his mental.
Yeah, you can tell the really smart people where their math has no numbers. It's like, how is your math only Greek letters? That doesn't make sense to me, like dashes and lines.
Hey, Ty, great job handling Benigno all year long, all right? I mean, going on. I mean, those are some tough ones he's throwing at you all season long. Great job with that, all right, Ty?
Thank you.